Let's start with something super relatable. Suppose I drop you inside a massive library with millions of pages, no librarian, no labels, and then I ask you one simple question. Can you find the employee leave policy updated last year? Now, think about that for a second. You have to find the exact answer in just a few seconds. Yes, it's not that easy. And that is exactly what happens when a company wants to build an AI assistant that can answer questions from hundreds of gigabytes of private documents. The files are there, the information is there, but the real question is how does the AI find the right information quickly, understand it, and then respond like a smart assistant? And that is where RAG comes in. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It may sound technical right now, but trust me, by the end of this video, it will make a lot more sense. So let's look at the agenda, what we'll be covering. First, we'll understand what RAG is, why normal AI tools are not enough, how RAG works step by step, what's the architecture look like, and the important terms you should know as a beginner. So if you've heard words like AI assistant, private company chatbots, vector databases, embeddings, chunking, semantic search, and thought, what does all of this mean? This video is for you. Also, if you're interested in mastering the future of technology, then the professional certificate course in generative AI and machine learning is the perfect choice for you. This is offered in collaboration with the ENICET Academy IIT Kanpur, and it's an 11-month live interactive online program providing you hands-on expertise in cutting-edge areas like generative AI, machine learning, tools like ChatGPT, DALL-E 2, and Hugging Face. You will gain practical experience through 15 plus projects, integrated labs, and live masterclasses delivered by esteemed IIT Kanpur faculty. Alongside, you'll be earning a prestigious certificate from IIT Kanpur, where you will receive official Microsoft badges for Azure AI courses and career support through Simplilearn's Job Assist program. So what are you waiting for? Hurry up and enroll now. The course link is mentioned below. Now, before we get started, here's a quick quiz question for you. What is the main job of RAG in an AI system? To train the AI model from scratch, to help the AI find relevant information before answering, to replace the vector database completely, or to turn text into images? Let me know your answers in the comment section below. So without any further ado, let's get started. So first, let's talk about what problem does RAG actually solve. Now let me make this easy for you. You already know tools like ChatGPT that can answer questions really well. But here's the issue. A normal large language model is usually trained on a huge amount of public data. That means it is very good at general knowledge. But what if your company wants the AI to answer questions from internal contracts, employee handbooks, private reports, meeting notes, policy documents, product specifications? Now that data is not the part of the model's original training. So if you ask a normal AI model a question about your company's private files, it may do one of these three things. First, it may say it doesn't know, or it may guess, or worse, it may confidently give a wrong answer. And that is a very big problem here, because businesses do not want guesses. They want the accurate answers based on their own data. And that is where RAG is so powerful here. RAG allows an AI model to look up to relevant information from your private documents first and then generate an answer based on that information. So instead of saying answer from memory, we are telling the AI first go, check the document, then answer. That is the core idea of RAG. Now, let me break the full form of RAG for you. R stands for retrieval here. This means the system first retrieves or finds the most relevant information from a document collection. A here stands for augmented. Now that means the retrieved information is added to the prompt given to the AI model. G here stands for generation, which means the AI model uses that added information to generate the final answer. So in simple line, I would say RAG is finding the right information plus attaching it to the prompt plus generating a grounded answer. That's it. So you can see from here, the user gives the query, it retrieves the data from the large language model, it searches, finds the relevant text from the data source, and then it will give and generate the response based on your query and your text. So let me give you a simple analogy here. Think of a student in an open book exam. Now without RAG, the student is answering only from the memory. Sometimes the answer may be right. Sometimes it may be incomplete. Sometimes the student may just bluff here. But with RAG, the student is allowed to first open the textbook, find the exact chapter, read the relevant paragraph, and then answer. So the student is still intelligent, but now the student is also grounded in the actual source material. And that is exactly what RAG does for AI. Now, you might be thinking, how does RAG actually work? Let's say the user asks, can you tell me about last year's service agreement with Code Cloud? Now, let's understand what happens behind the scenes. The first step is the documents are prepared in advance. Now, before users ask questions, the company's documents are first processed. Why? Because you cannot expect the AI to search through 500 GB of files from scratch every single time. That would be too slow and inefficient. So the system does some smart preparation first. The documents are first collected, it's cleaned, split into smaller pieces, converted into vectors, stored in a vector database. This preparation phase is often called ingestion or indexing. Let's move on to the second step, which is called chunking. Now, here's an important term. Chunking, which means breaking large documents into smaller pieces called chunks. Why do we do this? Because one long document may contain many topics. If we store the whole document in one giant block, retrieval becomes messy. So instead, we split it into smaller, meaningful parts. For example, a 20-page employee handbook could be split into chunks like leave policy, work from home rules, holiday calendar, pet policy, code of conduct. Now, this makes it much easier for the system to retrieve only the relevant part here. Sometimes chunks also have overlap. That means a little bit of one chunk is repeated in the next chunk. Why does it happen? To preserve context. Because meaning can continue across chunk boundaries. So if one paragraph ends in one chunk and the next paragraph starts in another, overlap helps the system avoid losing the connection. Let's move on to the third step, which is embeddings. Now comes a very important concept here, embeddings. And this is where many beginners get scared, but it's actually very simple. Computers do not understand words the way humans do. They understand numbers. So, the text in each chunk is converted into numerical representation, which is called an embedding. You can think of an embedding as a special coordinate system for the meaning. Words or sentences with similar meaning are placed closer together in this mathematical space. For example, dogs allowed and pets permitted. These two sentences here use different words, but they mean almost the same thing. Now, a good embedding model will place them close together, and that is why embeddings are so powerful. They help the system search by meaning, not just the exact words. The fourth step is vector database. Now, once the chunks are converted into embeddings, they are stored in a vector database. A vector database is a special kind of database designed to store and search vectors efficiently. And this is where all the processed knowledge lives. So instead of searching raw files every time, the system searches through these stored vector representations. That makes the process much faster and smarter. Popular frameworks example includes Chroma, Pinecone, Weavit, and FAST. Now, as a beginner, just remember this. Normal database stores rows and columns. Vector database stores meaning based on numerical representations of text. Now, the user asks a question. Let's say the user asks again, can you tell me about the last year's service agreement with Code Cloud? What really happens now? And here comes step 5, which is query embedding. The question is also converted into an embedding. So now both the sides are in the same form. Documents chunks are embeddings. The user query is also an embedding. This allows the system to compare them properly. Next is the sixth step, which is semantic search or retrieval. Now, the system searches the vector database to find chunks whose meaning is closest to the question. And this is called semantic search here. This is different from keyword search. In keyword search, the system looks for exact. In semantic search, the system looks for related meaning. That means even if the document doesn't use the exact same wording as the user's question, the system can still find the right chunk. This is one of the biggest strengths of RAG. Next is the seventh step, which is augmentation. Now, the retrieved chunks are added in the prompt and this is called augmentation. In simple words, the system tells the large language model, here's the user question and here's the relevant pieces of company's document. Now answer based on this. So the model is no longer answering blindly, it is answering with fresh, relevant, private context. And that is why RAG is often used when the data is private, company specific, frequently updated, too large to fit directly into the model. Coming at the eighth step, which is generation. Now, finally, the large language model reads the question plus the retrieved chunks and writes the answer. This is the generation part. So, if the retrieved chunks include the right service agreement, the AI can generate something like last year's service agreement with Code Cloud with a 12-month contract focused on cloud support services with renewal time and pricing adjustment. Now the answer is not based on guesswork, it is based on the actual retrieved content. And that is the beauty of RAG. So now that you understand how does RAG actually works, let's move on and let's talk about the architecture in a very clean, beginner-friendly way. Now, a basic RAG system usually has these components here. The first one, as you can see here, is data source. These are the original files which are like in PDF format, Word documents, meeting notes, facts, transcript, manuals. Second one is the chunking layer. This breaks the files into smaller chunks. Third one is embedding model. This converts each chunk into a vector embedding. Fourth one is vector database. This stores all those embeddings for fast retrieval. Next is user query. The user asks a question. Sixth one is query embedding. The system converts the question into an embedding too. Seventh one is retriever. This searches the vector database and fetches the top relevant chunks. Number 8 is prompt builder augmentation. This combines the user's question, the retrieved chunks, and sometimes extra instructions. Number 9, we've got large language model, which reads everything and generates the answer. Then we've got the final response. The user gets a grounded answer now. So if I say the architecture in the one flow, it would look like documents, chunking, embeddings, vector, database, then user query, query embedding, retrieval, prompt augmentation, large language model, final answer. That is the complete RAG pipeline. So now that you have understood the RAG architecture, let's understand some important terms that you must need to know. So first one is large language model like GPT or Claude that generates human-like text. Next is embedding, which is a numerical representation of text meaning. Then we've got vector, the numerical format which is used to represent that meaning. Then we have vector database. What it does is a database is built for storing and searching those vectors. Next, we've got chunk, a small piece of larger document. Then we have chunk overlap, a little repeated content between chunks to preserve continuity. Then we have semantic search, search by meaning, not just exact keywords. Then we have retriever, the part of the system that fetches the most relevant chunks. Then we have prompt augmentation, adding retrieved information into the prompt before sending it to the large language model. Then we have grounded answer, an answer based on actual retrieved evidence, not just model memory. So why is RAG better than fine-tuning? Now, RAG is better than fine-tuning in many cases. Many beginners ask this, if I want the AI to know my company documents, why not just fine-tune the model? That's a good question. Fine-tuning means changing the model using extra training. But RAG is often preferred because it is faster to update. You don't need to retrain the model again and again. It works well for private and changing documents. It can fetch current information at runtime. It is usually more practical for enterprise search assistants. So if a company document changes tomorrow, you can just update the database. You do not need to retrain the full model. That makes RAG very practical. Now, what decides whether a RAG system works well or badly? That's an important thing. RAG sounds amazing, but the quality depends on how well you build it. Here are the big factors. First is chunking strategy. If chunks are too small, they may lose context. If they are too large, retrieval may become noisy. Embedding model, a better embedding model can understand meaning more accurately. Then we have retrieval strategy. That is how many chunks should be retrieved, what similarity threshold should be used, should metadata filters be added, data type. Data type are the legal documents like facts, customer support charts, and product manuals all need different handling. Let's say, for example, legal documents often need larger, more structured chunks. Customer support transcripts may work better with smaller chunks and more overlap. So there is no perfect setup for every data set. Now let's talk about some real world use cases of RAG and where do we actually use this? A lot of places, obviously. First one coming is company's knowledge assistant. Now, employees ask questions from internal documents. Customer support bots answers are pulled from facts, policy docs, and manuals. Then we have legal document assistant. These are useful for contracts, clauses, compliance, and agreements. Then we have healthcare knowledge systems, which can retrieve from approved document guidelines or case notes. Next, we've got education tools. Students can ask questions from course materials, notes, and PDFs. So, whenever you need an AI system to answer from a specific knowledge base, RAG becomes very useful. Now, let me give you a simple end-to-end picture here. Let's wrap up the whole thing up with a very simple flow. A company has thousands of private documents. These documents are split into chunks. Now, each chunk is converted into embeddings. Those embeddings are stored in vector database. Now, when the user asks a question, the question is also converted into an embedding. The system finds the most relevant chunks using semantic search. Those chunks are inserted into the prompt. Then the large language model reads the question plus those chunks and generates the answer. Now that is RAG, not magic. Just a very smart workflow. So the next time you hear someone say build a chatbot on top of company documents, you will know the real trick is not just the chatbot. The real trick is helping the AI find the right information first. And that is exactly why RAG matters. It gives language models access to private, relevant, and up-to-date information without retraining the whole model. And for beginners, this is one of the most important AI concepts to understand right now. Because once you understand RAG, you're not just learning how AI talks, you are learning how AI becomes actually useful in the real world. So if you like this video, do hit the notification bell and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more such tech insights and tutorials by Simplilearn.